The Alpha Sessions with Ron Laver.
Hi, I'm Ron Laver. This is the Alpha Sessions on Radio Broccoli. And today, our guest is Brittany McLamb, all the way from her home in Nashville, Tennessee. Hi, Brittany. How are you today?
Hello, I am great. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Thank you. We've got lovely hot weather here again today, and they're promising it for the next few days. It never lasts long, but yeah, it feels like summer's coming, so that's good, and we can all get out in our gardens at least.
Yeah, I gotta enjoy it while it lasts.
Absolutely, yeah. I want to talk to you. I know you've got a new single, which is out, in fact, now, Wanted, and I'll talk to you about that in a little while. But before then, just wanted to know something about your musical past, where you grew up. When did you first start getting into music? Was it a young age?
It was, yeah. I'd always loved music. I was the kid that my mom would buy me like the little nursery rhyme cassette tapes, and I had my little Walkman, and I would listen to them and memorize them and learn them and sing them. So I always loved music. I also would sing in my church choir, which most kids do. Um, and so it really was never something that I thought, that I was going to be a singer or anything to that, respect. But I did love music. It wasn't until I was about 10 years old. My elementary school, I was in, I think, third grade. They passed around a letter saying, we're going to start hosting a pageant called the Little Miss Salemburg pageant, which Salemburg is the town that I'm originally from. It's a tiny little town. And of course, my first thought was, is there a crown involved? Like, I want a crown. So I remember I went home and I told my mom, I showed her the paper and I was like, look, they're going to have a pageant. I want to be in it. And she's like, okay, like this is something I've never shown interest in ever before. So she allowed me to sign up. To be in the pageant, there was no talent involved or anything like that. It was just more or less a beauty pageant. There was like an on-stage interview. Well, I was in it, I think, twice before I figured out what was going on. And the third time that I was in it, I actually won. And at the end of your reign, so to speak, you have to perform a talent in front of everyone. And I had always taken dance lessons, ballet, jazz, tap. And so my mom just assumed that I was going to do a dance routine. And we were driving in the car, and a song came on the radio, which was one of my favorite songs, which was Shania Twain, If You're Not In It For Love. And that came on the radio, and I was like, oh, I'm going to sing that. And she's like, wait, you're going to sing that song for your talent? And I was like, yes, I wanted to sing this song. And I think she was a little bit shocked because that's totally not anything I'd ever done before. But she went with it. So we got the whole outfit, the fringe, the mini skirt, cowboy boots, cowboy hat. And I performed the song on stage in front of the whole elementary school auditorium. It was in the evening. So it was like all the parents, friends were there. And afterwards, like the whole place just like roared in applause. And it was like that moment that I remember specifically thinking, I love this. I want to do this some more. So
that was it. You were struck, were you?
Yes.
Age of 10.
Yes. I guess the singing bug caught me or bit me. So yeah, from that point forward, that's when I started recording in studios and performing everywhere that I could.
All for the want of a crown.
Yes, all for the want of a crown.
We don't tend to have pageants in this country, and I know a little bit about them, but can you just sort of explain what they are? And obviously it's younger children, isn't it? Like you say, 10-year-olds, that sort of range.
Yeah, mostly. Now I was in pageants until I was in high school. They have them for older people, older adults, and
All
mostly,
right.
yeah, for when you get older, there's things that are involved like scholarships. So you can get the scholarships and use it toward school, um, like college and stuff. But yeah, so pageants are typically known as like beauty pageants. So, you come out on stage and you model like an evening gown or a business suit or sportswear or something like that. There's usually some sort of either private interview, or there'll be an on-stage interview that you see the whole. I don't know if this is something that's kind of known about in England, but here it's kind of like the funny joke that Miss America, or what they ask a question on stage, what would you want to accomplish if you became Miss America? And they'll say, I want to change the world, or something
Yeah.
like that. So, on stage interview, that sort of thing. I only was in pageants that had talent just because that's the reason why I wanted to be in them, so I could perform. But some pageants don't have talent. Just depends. So that's basically the format.
So you were still in high school and you were doing those. What then made you want to move to Nashville?
Right. Well, let's see, when I was in high school, I joined a talent agency that was based out of South Carolina. And then a gentleman that my mom worked for at the time, he owned like a plastic tubing company, but little did she know, he also owned a nightclub that was very well known here in Nashville called Nashville Nightlife. It's pretty much a legendary place here. All the older classic artists have performed there. And he found out that my mom's daughter, me, was a singer. So he suggested that she get in touch with a lady named Patsy Bell Cox, who had been in the music industry for years, and she lived here in Nashville. And so we did. And so we started communicating back and forth. And, she's worked for people like Tanya Tucker, Garth Brooks, really big artists. And so she was kind of like being my guide, telling me, I think you should go to college, get your education, and then contact me once you graduate. And so that's what I did. Once I graduated, I went and did one job interview. And after the interview, I called my mom and I was like, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to sing. So I'm moving to Nashville. And she's like, okay. And that was July 5th of 2007. So I called up Patsy and I said, I'm moving to Nashville. And she's like, well, you have a place to stay for as long as you need. So I moved to Nashville July 5th. And that's really how I got here, is through her. She was kind of like my Nashville mom.
We'll come back to your story. Let's just talk about a track you released in 2018, I think, Playing with Fire.
So I have a cousin that lives here in town. She moved here a couple years after I did. She's a singer-songwriter, and she's amazing. She's a wonderful lyricist. And so when I realized, she was moving here, she got settled, I messaged her and I said, we should write together. So me, her, and one of my good buddies, Philip Howard, got together. And this was the second song that we wrote together, called Playing with Fire. And it's, we kind of took it from the viewpoint of, there's this person that we're interested in, that we really like. We have some sort of relationship with them, but we know they're not good for us, but yet we still pursue it. So she had a couple of the hook lines, and so we built the song off of that, and that's how we came up with Playing with Fire.
What a beautiful catastrophe, you made a mess out of me. Never felt such a heavy grip, can't get myself out of this. And I've tried and I've tried, but I can't get you out of my mind. And I fall apart every time. And that's what happens when you're playing with fire. It's a hopeless desire, burning me up until it burns me down and left sweeping up the ashes. You're holding all the matches, I knew it all along. That's what happens when you're playing with fire, playing with fire, oh. Playing with fire, playing with fire, oh. So I'll draw the line just to cross it one more time. And you love and let go, 'cause it's the same old show. Oh, oh. And I've tried, but my heart just won't say goodbye. And I fall so hard every time. That's what happens when you're playing with fire. It's a hopeless desire, burning me up until it burns me down and left sweeping up the ashes. You're holding all the matches, I knew it all along. That's what happens when you're playing with fire, playing with fire, oh. Playing with fire, playing with fire, oh. And I've tried, oh. That's what happens when you're playing with fire. It's a hopeless desire, burning me up until it burns me down and left sweeping up the ashes. You're holding all the matches, I knew it all along. That's what happens when you're playing with fire, playing with fire, oh. Yeah, I'm playing with fire, oh. Whoa, yeah, I'm playing with fire, oh. Yeah, I'm playing with fire, oh.
The Alpha Sessions with Ron Laver.
You've just left college. You what, in your early 20s then?
I think I was 22, maybe
Right,
22,
right.
23.
Yeah. Okay. And then when you moved to Nashville,
13.
I'm going to say it's one of the first things you did, but I don't know whether it is or not, whether it took a little longer than that. But you released an EP, didn't you, in 2013?
I did, yeah. It took me a while to get acclimated because I didn't know anyone here in Nashville but Patsy. And, you know, we were way far apart in age, so it's not like I could just hang out with her and her friends. And so she did a wonderful job of introducing me to contacts. So she would accompany me to like songwriters rounds, shows and things, and introduce me to the people that she knew there. So through that whole ordeal, she introduced me to some folks at a studio that oh, there's my cat.
Just getting in on the act.
Yeah. She introduced me to some folks that worked at a studio. It was called Jack's Tracks, and it's where Garth Brooks used to record. And so that's kind of like through that, I met some songwriters. I listened to their catalogs because at this point when I was first getting that EP together, I hadn't really started songwriting yet. I had written, by the time we finished the EP, I had written a couple songs, but that was the most, that I think it was like maybe 2 or 3 that I had written. Yeah, in 2013, I finally finished the EP and put it out there, and it includes several originals, but then several that are songs that I got from publishing companies.
you're not a stranger to the UK, are you?
Not, no. um, I have a lovely boyfriend who lives in Sheffield, and
Ah,
so I've been over to the UK quite a bit.
that explains the North of England connection then.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so with that, I've had some music that's been played over the years on several different stations in the UK,
Mhm.
and so I've just been trying to build upon those relationships, and especially with my boyfriend being over there and me traveling back and forth. I'm like, well, why don't I start trying to perform there? I mean, they're already playing my music, so I started last year and the year before trying to book a show whenever I could, whenever I was there. So I've played in London at the Bedford Pub with a friend of mine, Rachel Button. She lives in Chiswick, I think.
Chiswick?
Chiswick, there you go. So she lives there, and she's a singer-songwriter. She's wonderful. And so I performed with her, I think it was year before last. And then last year I did a Bells and Gals show
Mhm.
at the Slaughtered Lamb.
Yeah, it's there's singer-songwriters now. Both country's got a big upsurge in the UK at the moment. I guess they started doing the C2C shows 3 or 4 years ago now, and there's always been an underlying swell of country music fans in this country, but that brought it a lot to the fore. Taylor Swift did a lot to bring it to the younger generation, and now country music, and as a result, we're seeing a lot of UK country singers now. So, do you think we're likely to see you back in the UK before too long? Not very inviting at the moment, is it?
I'm really hoping that changes very soon, just because I haven't seen my boyfriend since January.
Well, of
So,
course, you can go and isolate with him, you know.
well, true.
Yeah, but you won't be able to do much gigging, straight away.
Yeah, and I had a trip scheduled for April, the end of April, and I was going to be performing in Sheffield with a friend, but we had to cancel that, of course. So yes, I do plan to come back as soon as possible, and I do plan to have some gigs lined up. And I'm already thinking of 2021. I want to play some festivals there, so I'm going to be trying to set some of that up as well.
Well, I see you were online for the Dixie Fields
Yeah.
Festival this year,
Yeah.
which is now going ahead as an online, which I think you're still involved in, aren't you? You'll be performing on that. But you were actually due to come and play live there, weren't you?
No, I wasn't. That was something that came about afterwards. I had reached out, but I think they had already booked everyone that they were going to have for the festival. And so when I saw that it was going to be online, I was like, let me reach out again, And so Georgie was wonderful and put me on for the new music hour. And so, yeah, but I am hoping that maybe we can work something out. And so maybe next year I can actually be there for the live event.
And that's one of the things now also, there's lot more country music festivals going on around the UK than there ever have been. So yeah, plenty to get to. Let's go back to when you first, I guess, got known in England in terms of radio, which was when you released Crushing on You.
Yes. Well, my music's been playing on there many years before that. There is a radio show called Country Bells with Graham Barnes, and he's been playing my music. Well, he just had his 5th anniversary, so I'm thinking at least 3 to 4 of those 5 years he's been playing my music. Right. But it wasn't until Crushing on You that I got radio play with Country Hits Radio, Country Hits UK, with Balin Leonard. So that was pretty exciting. And he actually played my brand new single Wanted on there last Friday for the new release or New Music Friday. So super exciting.
So you've mentioned it there, that your new single, Wanted, it was out, I think, last Friday. it was released, and as you say, it's already getting airplay in the UK. What's the story behind Wanted? How did that come about?
So when I wrote that song, which was probably 3 years ago, I think it was, I was going through some, difficult times with this person that I was seeing at the time. And he seemed to be someone in the beginning. And then I later learned that that is not exactly the person that he was. And so I already had these ideas of a song that I wanted to write about. So I write with a couple of guys. They're my buddies, and we've written quite a few songs together, Andrew Beeson and Jonathan Dean. And when we went to our write, I brought up, this situation and the ideas that I had around it. And, I was like, all I wanted was, for him to be the guy that I've been looking for, a guy that is going to treat me right, that's going to, not be a cheater, not going to, mess around, that sort of thing. And I was like, I was yet again wrong. So they had some similar situations. So we drew upon all of our experiences in that department and kind of put it all together. And that's basically how we came up with Wanted.
So guess what you're saying there is he wasn't the guy you wanted, basically.
Yeah, I wanted him to be that, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Phone lights up and I find it kind of funny that 2 a.m.'s the only time that you call me up. Nothing new, or should have saw it coming. Don't have to pick up to know exactly what you're wanting, yeah. Boy, don't you know it's a little too late. Must be lonely, sleeping with the choices you've made. 'Cause I wanted to be yours and you to be mine, to be everything and more. All you were looking for is just a good time. All I wanted was just for you to try, make good on your promises. Must have been too much to ask for you to be that guy. Let's be honest, I was never gonna be what you wanted. I wonder what it was that made you think of me. Probably just the late night whiskey got you buzzing good. Oh yeah. Whatever we had, just go ahead and drop it. It ain't coming back in no way it ever could. And it won't, 'cause those days are gone. When I wanted to be yours and you to be mine, to be everything and more. All you were looking for is just a good time. All I wanted was just for you to try, make good on your promises. Must have been too much to ask for you to be that guy. Let's be honest, I was never gonna be what you wanted. Leave it up to you to leave and try to turn around on a one-way street.
The Alpha Sessions with Ron Laver.
How are things with you in the States these days in terms of lockdown? It seems almost like state by state, they're doing their own things.
Yeah, and that's pretty true. And then you also have the governors versus the mayors. The governor will issue a ordinance or whatever, but the mayors may be saying something different. So the different cities go by what the mayor says mostly. It's really all confusing. I know that I did read this morning actually that we are moving into phase 3. We had been paused for a minute because the numbers were going up, which apparently they still are going up, but we're moving into phase 3 anyway, which I think is reopening of most everything except for the large venues like stadiums and arenas and that sort of thing. I myself am pretty much staying at home unless I have to go to the grocery store or post office. Other than that, I'm not trying to be out and about.
I know that you do a lot of online, these online gigs that have been, for me as a viewer, that's been absolutely great. I realise it's not so great for the artists because I know some, there is money collections and things, but basically you're not getting paid for those, are you? You're just doing it to keep yourself out there but it's one of the lockdown things that's been fabulous for for us non-artists.
It really has.
Been able to see so many people, and every day of the week almost. So I know you've been doing that. So it doesn't sound from what you said that you'll be rushing out to do live gigs anytime soon then.
No, I'm going to play it by ear, really. My guitar player, he plays for other artists too, and he has his first gig this coming Friday, that's in an establishment, and he's kind of a little bit nervous about it, and as I would be too. And I see on all the social media there here in Nashville, there's people are starting to book shows again. I just don't know. I just would feel very uneasy, especially like when you're using a microphone that other people have used and it's so close to your mouth and just, I don't know. I think I just need to give it some time.
Yeah. So we can still look forward to seeing you, plenty of you on live streaming then for a little while yet. That's the good side.
Absolutely. Yes. And I will say that as soon as I feel like it's okay to get back out there, I'm definitely getting back out there just because, I have been in this house since March,
Yes.
Besides the occasional errands, to the grocery store, that sort of thing. So I'm ready to get out there and start, seeing everyone again. But for now.
Well, very sensible, I think. What music are you listening to at the moment on your iPod, iPhone?
Well, I listen to all kinds of music. I listen to pop music, I listen to obviously country. I'm really digging a new Gabby Barrett song. I think she just came out with a new album called I Hope. And it's one of those songs that you've heard something similar to it before, but it's so cleverly written that it doesn't matter. It's good. So I'm loving that track. And I have a friend named Sean Kennedy. He has new music that's out that's awesome. He's from Scotland, and but he lives here in Nashville. And then I'm really digging a UK artist, Jade Helliwell.
Yeah.
She has an amazing voice.
Have you got any favourite clubs, places you gig?
Well, there's a place called the Listening Room. I think they host quite a bit of singer-songwriter nights. And it's even when they had the smaller venue, the older venue, because that's where I've played the most at. I've played several shows at the new venue, but anybody who comes to Nashville, I'm sure they go there because they host the Song Suffragettes on Monday nights. But the place is always packed. Like there's always a great audience, and it's quiet. It's almost like being at the Bluebird. You know, they respect the artist that's on stage. And so you're not getting a lot of that bar chatter that you would get like on Broadway or something like that. So especially for like the very, you know, ballady type quiet songs that you perform, it gets the respect that it deserves, for the artist. So I really do enjoy performing there. It's not really a full band type venue, but it's great for acoustic shows. So there, and then when I am feeling the whole Broadway vibe, Tin Roof is a pretty good venue. They have a couple of different locations downtown, and I've played both of them. And you know, the crowd's always very lively, you know, ready to clap and sing along. So there's so many places. It's like, you know, they're all good and they all have their own vibe and their own kind of energy, you know. So it just depends on what kind of show you're wanting to play.
I've been to Nashville and down Broadway. Why don't you tell our listeners and viewers about the clubs down there, and how you can just wander from one to another almost until you find, this is what I'm feeling like tonight.
Yeah. It's when I first moved here, I was mesmerized by it because, you know, you have all the fluorescent lighting and everything outside all the bars and venues. And they've added so much more down there in the way of that within the past 2 years. But yeah, when you're down there, it's light, you know, on each side of the street, people everywhere. You're like basically, you know, trying to maneuver through a crowd. And every place has live music. Every single bar has live music. And typically, there's numerous bars down there that have several different floors now, and there's different bands on each floor. So not only one per venue, but sometimes 3 to 4 bands per venue. So it's crazy.
It's as you say, I just thought it was fabulous. I don't know whether it's still the same, but you didn't, when I was there, you didn't pay to go in any of the bars. You just went in, sat down. At some point, someone would come and ask you if you wanted a beer. And by the time you drank your beer, you knew whether that was the band you wanted to watch tonight, or whether you'd go next door and try another one. And of course, you know, if you sit and watch a band, they bring around the tip jar. It's just a great vibe. And even you go out early evening for a meal, you know, you can go somewhere where there's a band playing, or, you know, an acoustic set or something, you know, to have your meal by. Okay, it's something we like to ask everybody on this program is if you could have a dream collaboration with someone and do a gig somewhere, who would you most like to collaborate and get on stage with?
I think I would choose a male artist just because I love harmonies, and male harmonies, you know, with the right male and the right female are just so good. I used to always say Kenny Chesney, but that's kind of changed over the years. I think if I were to have a dream collaboration, maybe Keith Urban. And then, you know, either here at the Bridgestone because it's, you know, it's wonderful venue, or at the coveted O2. You know, I would love to play there someday.
It'll come.
I hope so. Sooner rather than later. Let's wish that into the world.
Absolutely. And the other thing we like to know is, what's your, you could have anything you want as a rider. What would you have for the gig that you'd insist on being in your dressing room when you arrive to do the show?
Probably 2 things. I like, anytime I have a gig, I always have my hot tea in my mug because it soothes my throat. So that's a definite. And then I do like to have water on stage. So a bottle of water and my hot tea. That's two necessities.
You're not asking for a lot, are you? Really?
I'm not.
That's almost reasonable for a rider.
Yeah. And I don't like to sing on a full stomach. So I'm not one of those.
No.
It's like, I want all red M&Ms, or I want all, I don't need all that. Just,
Mind you, you could always have those for afters,
Right.
when you come off stage.
that's true. Yeah.
Look, Brittany, it's been really good talking to you. Really enjoyed chatting. And if people listening and watching want to know more about you, where can they find out?
Well, I'm on all the social media stuff. So you can check out my YouTube videos on youtube.com/Brittany McLamb. You can find me on Facebook, which is facebook.com/Brittany McLamb Music. I'm on Instagram, and that's Brittany McLamb Music. And Twitter is just Brittany McLamb.
Okay, that sounds good. And you must, when you're in the UK next and all this has gone away, we hope, you must come and see us at Out for Sessions. We have quite a small and intimate studio, which is why we're doing it over Zoom these days. But it would be lovely to have you come and sing live in our studio.
Absolutely, I would love that.
And it's not far from London, so if you're doing gigs in London, then yeah, that would be really good.
Awesome. I'm down. Count me in.
Okay. Thanks very much. Thanks very much for your time, Brittany, and good luck with the new single. And I hope everything goes well in the future for you.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for having me on the show.
No problem.
We can just be friends, at least it's what I tell myself. But again and again, no, I just can't help but notice how your eyes are the color of the sky when it's a little bit cloudy. Or the way your hand brushes mine, boy, you don't realize how you got these feelings rushing, rushing over me. Suddenly I can breathe, no, I can't explain it. Nothing, nothing can describe this high that I want to keep on chasing. Good for you, you're good for me. Come on, tell me, do you feel the same thing? And if you do, if you're feeling it too, I'm crushing, crushing, baby, I'm crushing on you. I've always loved the sound of my name on your lips, but from being real right now, I'd like to know how they'd feel when they're pressed up against mine. Let's cross that line and keep these feelings rushing, rushing over me. Suddenly I can breathe, no, can't explain it. Nothing, nothing can describe this high that I want to keep on chasing. Good for you, you're good for me. Come on, tell me, do you feel the same thing? And if you do, if you're feeling it too, I'm crushing, crushing, baby, I'm crushing on you. And now I know I never thought anyone was ever good enough for you. Rushing, rushing over me, suddenly I can breathe, no, can't explain it. Nothing, nothing can describe this high that I want to keep on chasing. Rushing, rushing over me, suddenly I can breathe, no, can't explain it. Nothing, nothing can describe this high that I want to keep on chasing. I'm good for you, you're good for me. Come on, tell me, do you feel the same thing? And if you do, if you're feeling it too, I'm crushing, crushing. If you do, if you're feeling it too, I'm crushing, crushing, baby, I'm crushing on